Welcome to my latest experiment. This is a big one, the one I've been waiting for all my life.
What is it?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Oh my God.
The cream will rise to the top, oh yeah.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
And there is no one that does it better.
The Guy and Harley podcast, streaming all over your face.
Perhaps that was the most important part.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Pigville on the internet. In my Bugatti, I took the key and tried to hide it, so you can't drive it, and put on mileage. Then you find it. Awkward silence. Welcome to the Guy and Harley podcast. I'm Guy Pigden.
And I'm very disappointed in you, Guy Pigden. I was secretly hoping, as were the listeners, that you would open the show this week with a rebuttal to my scathing rap about your penis, which we opened the show with last episode.
That's what that was.
Something written by you about my penis or something to that effect. But no, we are disappointed.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have time
to be writing raps about your dick, Harley.
To write stupid, childish raps about your penis. I actually have some shit that I got to do.
Actually,
and I don't want to be sitting in my room going, penis rebuttals.
Yes, well, Guy.
Harley's penis rebuttals.
Don't think of it as a childish penis rebuttal. Think of it as content for the podcast, you see? That's how you justify it.
Interesting. But I do have a short film that needs finishing and a feature film that needs finishing and a new TV show that needs writing. So
fuck the podcast.
Yeah. Well, no, fuck writing lyrics. More specifically. So,
well, who was that lyrical genius?
Well, that was Drake talking about problems that we all relate to. Hiding the keys to his Bugatti, which is a very expensive kind of car, which I'm sure costs over $100,000.
If I was him, I would have been rhyming Bugatti with Bukaki.
With Bukaki.
Yeah, that's naturally where my brain would have gone with that Bukaki. I'm going to write that down.
And yeah, he tried to hide the keys from his girlfriend so she wouldn't drive it around, adding mileage. So he didn't even say you were going to crash it.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't want you adding mileage.
Yeah.
And then she found it. Awkward silence. Classic love story right there. I just thought I'd use that lyric in particular. That's from Drake's new album called Views. And I think it's a reflection of where he's at, which is very far away from the real world. Very far away from where he started. He started from the bottom, now he's there.
Did he do that? Is that one of his songs?
Yeah.
All right.
And he's completely lost touch with reality, basically, in a way that, like, sometimes it's cool to be rapping about, being rich and successful and all that, but then sometimes you kind of take it one step too far and it becomes like parody, and like pretty much his whole new album is one step too far into parody. There's some good tracks on there, but there's definitely a lot of that kind of thing. And also...
Are you a bit disappointed?
Oh, very disappointed, because I actually bought this one as well. Shelled out my heart in because I'm like, Drake, he didn't let me down so far. I've been enjoying his albums. And this album is basically also like this ongoing theme of like, woe is me, all these girls keep leaving me, and it's not fair on me, rich Drake with all the girls, that all these hot girls keep leaving me for some reason. It's their fault. And it's like, I just feel like you're probably a total dick to them, and that's why they're leaving. And if you weren't in your fucking fantasy world hiding Bugatti keys from them, you'd probably realize that.
Yeah.
Someone needs to just give him a good slap in the face and go, come on, mate, wake up.
But no one will do that, though. He'll be surrounded by yes men. No, they're more likely to give him a sort of a hand job, really. There's more likely what it's going to... If there's two things... Drake today is going to get slapped in the face or he's going to get a hand job. I'd say it's leaning 99.9% towards hand job. It's almost certainly going to be the latter.
But Drake, just so you know, there's a little bit of feedback for your next one. Thank you very much. Good night.
Good.
So we took a little break.
Yeah, we're sorry about that.
But unfortunate, but hey.
We have been busy. There has been a lot happening in our lives. I've got pages of notes for the podcast.
You've got reams of notes.
All these adventures happening.
Yep. Okay, well, let's start one off.
Okay, go.
You with your reams of notes.
Okay, well, so I went for my latest harebrained publicity scheme was to make another viral sensation.
Yep.
With my hair, and so long-time listeners will know that I've done 2 hair pieces of hair art. One where I shaved half of my incredibly hairy, disgusting body right down the middle, took a photo, put it on the internet of me half hairy, half shaved, and it got millions of views and it got memed and it went all around the world, and I don't even know how many different people must have seen that.
It's
now.
what you're most, if like
it is
on your epitaph. It will say, or in your what's that thing they
eulogy?
Yeah, not eulogy. When someone writes up a review of you in like after you've obituary.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, Harley shot to prominence with a half hairy, half not hairy social media meme.
known as half hairy Harley.
And that will be like how it starts. It probably won't mention the zombie film, but it will mention that meme.
So I released that one. I released another one where it looks like I'm taking off a singlet or a tank top, as the Americans call it, or a wife beater, as we call it here in New Zealand.
Charmingly, we call it in New Zealand a wife beater.
And so I'm taking off my wife beater, and I just look normal. And then in the final photo, you see that I've taken off my wife beater, but I've still got a hairy wife beater shaved onto me, made out of hair. That also got a good amount of views. And then I did a couple of other little ones as well. But anyway, my latest one, I thought, well, I'll head down to one of these trendy hipster barber shops, right, where they do your beard, where they trim your beard and all that stuff, and get them to do one for me. Now, I thought I'll walk in there. I'll just say to them, "Hey, would you like a viral media, social media viral opportunity here to shave something awesome and funny into my chest here and get millions of views with it?" And so I thought this was a genius idea. I went in there. The guy had a plan. I was like, "So you got something planned?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I got something." Now, the thing is that when I went in there the very first time, the guy was like, "Well, what kind of thing do you want?" And I was like, "Well, look, mate, that really depends on you. I mean, if you're capable of putting the Mona Lisa into my chest hair, shaving the Mona Lisa into my chest hair, then great."
He didn't probably know what the Mona Lisa was.
This was his Mona Lisa. Now, we will post a picture on the Guy and Harley podcast page. I have already posted it, but I'll post it again. It is the picture that he came up with. Now,
it was less Mona Lisa and more Lisa from The Simpsons.
What? And it was more grown, because it was not funny. And it was like, it was just terrible. It was like a kid did it. It was like I'd let the kids loose on me with some clippers, and he had like shaved in some abs into my chest hair. He'd put like a YouTube symbol. He did the Avatar arrow from Avatar The Last Airbender, the kids show.
Right.
Now, that's not actually a bad idea, because what I was thinking is I could get this arrow pointing from on my chest, pointing down to my dick, right? Shaved into my chest hair, and it could be called The Last Hairbender. Hairbender.
A pun.
You get that? So, but that's not, anyway, that was there, but it wasn't done that way. And there was a few other bits and pieces, and then there was the name of the barbershop on the back. Now, I'm going to keep that anonymous. They did do a great job, actually, of my beard. They just, the chest hair wasn't that great.
The chest hair art is where they lost the plot.
Yeah. So anyway, it's really terrible. It was very, very, very far from the Mona Lisa. And the other thing too was he shaved my arms for no reason and my fingers, but not all of them. So, like, I've got one finger on one hand, which is not shaved, and on the other hand, I've just got my hand shaved, but not the fingers. But what he was doing was nothing to do with my hands or arms. It was all on my chest. So now I've just got itchy, cold arms for no reason.
He was probably just trying to do your girlfriend a favour with that.
Well, yeah, but he could have at least finished the last finger, right?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know what he was thinking.
I think he was just. I think he just didn't have a plan. I think he was just like, I'll just shave like some shit into this dude, and just did put zero effort into really thinking about what he was going to do. Now, I must stress they were nice guys. Just in case they're listening, they were nice guys, and they did do a great job on the beard, but not so good on the chest and back.
Well, it's like filmmaking, right? You go in there and you kind of just try and wing it. Things tend to go wrong, and it doesn't really quite turn out how you expect. With a bit of planning, a preparation of the meticulous variety, you often get a much better result.
Yeah, so now, I'll post that picture up on the Facebook page, so make sure you go to facebook.com/GuyAndHarley and hit like there and check it out. So after that, though, I got cast in an ad, thanks to Guy Pigden. Now, we probably can't say what the product is for yet. No. It's not out, but it's a virtual reality glasses product.
Like Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift. Similar to, but legally distinct from, Oculus Rift. And so I got cast in this ad, and it had a topless scene in it. Now, unfortunately, I had these ridiculous abs shaved into my chest here, and the client was like, well, that's got to go. So now I've had to shave my entire body, and now it's like my entire body is smooth as a hedgehog's butt. I'm just I'm like Velcro man all over, and it's only going to get worse. And I'm just going to get ingrown hairs. It's going to be hideous. It's all downhill from here.
It brought you back to the time that you gave a shit about your appearance, and you did it constantly to keep the hair away.
No, but even then, back when I used to manscape, I used to use Veet, which is a spray-on product. You spray it on, and then you leave it. It eats away at the hair, and then you wipe it off, and the hair's gone. So your skin is completely, pretty damn smooth. But when you shave it with your clippers, number 0, you're not even ever getting anything smooth. You're just getting straight up spikes, from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've got all over my body. The commercial though went well. It was a good shoot.
Yeah.
It was. I've got it just here. Let me just get the description of what I was meant to be.
So this is a classic humiliating synopsis.
Yeah, so it's the classic. Hang on, sorry guys. Oh, here we go. So here was the character description. The character is the shot opens on a very average, mediocre-looking guy in his 30s. And they saw me, the actor Harley Neville, and they said, "That's the guy. That's the guy. That's mediocre incarnate. That's him."
You go mediocre, check. Exceedingly average, double check.
Very average in his early 30s. Perfect.
Yeah.
So I got that role. But the thing was, here's the funny thing about showbiz, right? My wife in the ad, she was meant to be very average as well. Like it said, this is this guy. He's very average. He's got very average everything. He's got a very average wife. We show his average wife. I get there. My wife was very, very, very far from average. In fact, if I was to describe her, I would refer to her as a smoking hottie. She was not at all
a total babe.
Average. And that's classic showbiz, isn't it? It's like, oh yeah, so instead of just casting an average-looking person, let's just cast a hot person and put some glasses on them.
Yeah.
Give them messy hair or something.
Ponytail.
Yeah.
Glasses and a ponytail. The funny thing is, it's possible they even had a look at some average people, and some average women. They're like, ugh, this is disgusting. We need the regular people we get in to be wives of people here.
No people are going to buy this product if they look at these horrible, ugly, average people.
Yeah. Also, they could have said that you were so exceptionally average that to have another average person would just weigh the whole thing down.
Too much average on
screen. So they needed someone to bring it up a little bit to make it watchable.
They didn't want their
palatable.
They didn't want their product to be average by association.
Yeah.
I prefer to think of it like they did with me what they did with the hot girl. You know, they took a really hot person and just made them look average.
Yeah.
Much the same as they did with the hot wife.
Right.
That's how I like to.
Yeah.
That's what helps me sleep at night.
Yeah, sure.
That's how I get through the day.
What was your name?
Kendall?
Are you friends with her on Facebook now?
I am, yes. It wasn't Kendall.
All right.
Daryl or Daryl or...
That was Daryl.
Kieran, that's her name, Kieran.
Cool. So I'll look forward to that coming out.
Yeah, now another thing. Now this is a filmmaking podcast.
And it's a podcast about our lives.
And so one of the things about being an actor is that you've got an agent. And the thing about having an agent is they get you auditions, and it's awesome. And you really want to always have a really good rapport with your agent. It's very important. It's a big part of it because every day they're getting jobs put across their desk.
Yep.
And they've got 100 people on their books or more, and they've got to be thinking of you for those roles because they put forward the best actors on their books for those particular roles. So you want to be always at the forefront of their mind, you know, and you want to have a good relationship with them. They're not going to put you forward if they don't like you.
Yeah.
So it's important to make an effort to maintain that relationship. Now, I really should have told my agent that I did this ad. It is a professional faux pas. It's something you're not really supposed to do is go and act in other ads. Because also, imagine if Oculus Rift comes along and says, hey, we've got an ad. We need a schlubby-looking average dude.
Yeah.
And my agent says, well, perfect, I've got the guy for you. And then it's like, well, actually, no, he's been in a competing product on a very low-budget ad, and no, he's out.
Yeah.
You know, that means that she's wasted her time, she's wasted the client's time. You know, it's all just bad news.
Yeah.
And I did not tell her. So it's arguably a mistake.
It's a tricky one though, because
it is tough.
The flip side of the coin of that is that agents, while they are trying to get you work, don't necessarily have your best interests at heart. They have their best interests at heart, and they look down their nose at you making $300 a day or $400 a day because in terms of acting rates, that sucks.
Yeah, it was nothing.
But in terms of you, and in terms of you making $300 in a day for what is a very easy thing,
and doing what I love as well.
Exactly, it's fantastic. And there you get this
networking,
this sort of classic breakdown with your agent, or not breakdown, but where you guys don't see eye to eye because, you know, her recommendation would be, well, don't do it. And if you do it, I'm going to try and negotiate far more for you.
Yeah.
Because my 10% of $300 is $30. And I don't care about $30, but I do care about $300 because the ad cost, you know, no, I can't work that out. $3,000. Yeah. So, but that doesn't really help you in the day to day as a struggling actor, I don't think.
Yeah.
And they also tend to, again, this is another problem, is, you know, for instance, older or something like that. They're kind of like, well,
our second feature film, Older the movie.
They're like, so let me get this straight. There's copious amounts of nudity in it, and they're not going to pay you anything. Why in the sweet hell would you do that?
Yeah.
And of course, the reason you do that is because it's a interesting, awesome script by a up-and-coming director who, you know, and it could potentially be this really awesome little indie film, which, you know, although, yes, of course, there's nudity in it, but these kind of rich roles that these actresses or actors wouldn't necessarily get the chance to be in. You know, when you were doing a sort of a high budget film, they may be only like a bit part. And so they may make far more money on that bit part, which is far better for the agent, but it's not far better for their acting career. And again, it's that thing. So it's very tricky. You almost need a sort of like an unspoken sort of deal with your agent where you go, look, there's your ones and there's my ones. And my ones are my ones. And I pick my ones. And then there's your ones. And, you know, you do all that stuff. Anything that comes through you, sweet. Anything that comes through me, well, that's my thing. But it's tough because they don't really see it that way.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I've never had any sort of altercations with my agent or anything like that. It's fine. There's no reason to believe she would be unhappy. More the reason why I didn't get her involved was because I did know that if I got her on board, she'd want to look over the contract and she would want to, maybe negotiate a bit more money and stuff like that.
Yep.
And by this stage, see what happened was I got offered the role, and a giddy wave of excitement, I said yes. And then it occurred to me that I hadn't really spoken to my agent about it. And I was like, well, shit, I've already said yes.
Yep.
So now if I go getting my agent involved, then this employer is going to be like, well, that guy's a pain in the ass because he said yes. And then he started fucking around with agents and renegotiation and contracts and all that stuff. And so I just didn't want to basically make waves. So I was like, well, I'll just let this one go under the radar.
And also there's the thing that agents don't necessarily understand is the sort of levels of production, because they only have a certain standard which they expect to be hit every time. But the truth of the matter is there's a lot of sort of lower budget productions, and they're like, yeah, we have a little bit of money. We just have a little bit of money and we can pay you a little bit, which is good for you. And, but we can't, we're shooting tomorrow. We don't have time to go back and forth about contracts and stuff. This is just for a little thing. It's not going to be broadcast on television or anything like that.
Internet. This one was internet only and aimed at at American audiences.
Yeah. So we don't have time for the back and forth, for the wrangling. And also we don't have the money that you will expect in that back and forth and wrangling. And all of those things means that we just have to rule out this huge swathe of actors who actually potentially would really like to just do it for a $300, but they can't.
Yeah, well, the employer did actually say as well that there had been another actress attached, and then when her agent got involved,
too much.
Suddenly it was like, oh, she had to go.
Yeah.
Not so much. It was more that the agent pulled her out.
Yeah.
Said, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, and that's just the way it goes. But I think it depends on the level of actor you are. And let's be honest here.
Whoa.
You're not really the pick and choosy kind of guy. At this point in your career, you're not a guy that could just be walking around going, paid acting gig. Nah, sorry, not interested. And neither am I, and I don't anticipate being anytime soon. But that's really the top tier sort of acting talent that can do that, except your agent is kind of negotiating as if you're in that top tier the whole time, except you've been unemployed for a year. And that's, that's just one of those things.
To be fair, I did just get paid the other day from another commercial I did a month or two ago, which will be out apparently in June. For I can't tell you what product it's for. It was a volunteer, or it was just a very nominal fee.
Yep.
Because it was a charity. It's a commercial for a charity. But yeah, it's all happening.
Yep.
Ads everywhere.
Well, speaking of,
strictly speaking, I've had 2 ads this year already.
Speaking of ads, I had an audition.
Oh, good for you. And how was it? I hope it was fucking good, because it's useless now, isn't it? Fuck's sake, man, you're amateur.
I heard about this. I heard that I heard that it was a smiley bearded man.
Yeah.
Now, who's the go-to smiley bearded man in this city? It's me. I didn't even get a fucking audition. Didn't hear anything about it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You should probably ask your agent about that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But obviously, to be honest, it did say a guy with a curly beard and curly hair.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't have curly hair.
No. Well, neither do you, really.
Not really. It's a shame that I didn't
have a longer hair.
Yeah, because my hair was longer, but I just cut it recently. But so that could have been where you were ruled out.
Well, I've got curly back hair.
But yeah, basically it was a guy, an AA insurance guy who...
Whoa, you're not supposed to say the product, homie.
Right, but that's what it was. Who smiles at someone in a reassuring manner. that was that's not really spoiling the ad. But
No, but you're not really supposed to say the client. It's all right. This is the Guy and Harley podcast.
This is
Here, the listeners are an exclusive
exactly.
bunch.
Yeah, exactly.
We trust every single one of them
that you won't
intimately.
go telling naming names.
Yeah. Yeah, so nobody call up AA Insurance and tell them that Guy's been dropping fucking
this isn't
product bombs.
Communist. What was the hunt for the communists in the 1930s? The naming of names, the 10 names. You know anything about that?
No, I must have missed that one.
It was basically when screenwriters, actors, and sort of directors, but primarily sort of screenwriters and directors, were sort of part of this anti-communist thing. For starters, it started off as pro-communist. So there was a whole group of actors that were like, who cares if people are socialists or communists? That's really none of anyone's business under America's free speech, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was like, well, hang on, Russians, spies, this is terrible. And so there was this un-American committee made up, including such luminaries as John Wayne. And they basically asked people to, quote unquote, name names of people they thought might be tied to a communist party. And essentially, a whole bunch of people were named. Pretty much none of them were actual communists.
Yeah.
Some of them were part or were once part of like a socialist style group. But like none of them were working for the Russians, basically.
Yeah. I think I did hear a little bit about this communist witch hunts.
Yeah, and essentially they were named in the thing for un-American activities, and essentially blacklisted from Hollywood for like 20 years, and most of their careers were ended there. And then some people sort of wrote under aliases and stuff like that. But it was a kind of a Donald Trump kind of a thing, a Donald Trump kind of a thing to do.
Get used to those.
I know. I was kind of thinking that. I was like, we'll probably see much more of this madness. So that's the naming of names. So please don't name my name.
Is the conclusion of that ramble is that don't name Guy's name.
The conclusion of that interesting history lesson, Harley. Shit. It was my birthday the other day.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Now, I got a message from my grandma, which I quite enjoyed.
Yep.
But I think it shows the disparity between lives of generations prior and mine. So, she said, hey, happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. Here's some things. At 33, your great-grandfather, Bill Pigden, had returned unscathed from World War I, leading a mule train in from possibly Gallipoli. Married, had one son, William, and 3 other sons, of which the next was your grandfather. His 4th son died in infancy of diphtheria, and his 3rd, Roy, was killed in India during the partition of India and Pakistan in 1947. Okay, so that's what my great-grandfather was up to at 33. At 33, your paternal grandfather had survived World War II, very luckily, as he was a rear gunner flying Lancaster bombers where life expectancy was very short. He had subsequently finished his schooling and gone to university, then at 30 married herself, Grandma, and by 33 had one son, my dad, and would have Tim and Guy, 2 other sons. At 33, my dad was back in Dunedin after attending Cambridge University and then Melbourne and getting his PhD in philosophy. And I think it says we were in Dunedin. I was 5, my sister was 3, and my littlest sister was not yet born. At 33, Guy
the legacy continues.
The legacy continues. Guy Pigden made a zombie film
5 years ago.
Well, it just came out last year, so come and be realistic.
So don't take it too far, Harley.
Yep. Survived no wars, and his biggest concern in life is how strong his Wi-Fi signal is. Are we out of range? Are we in range? Is it strong? Can I download a lot of things at once? That's my life. And I think you see the slow decline.
No, this is a progression. You're looking at it all wrong. This is not a decline in achievement. This is a progression of humanity. The actions of your great-grandfather, grandfather, and father have led to you worrying about the Wi-Fi instead of worrying about the fucking Germans blowing your ass off while you're in the fucking Lancaster.
Yeah.
You know? That's awesome.
Look, I mean, I obviously have a huge amount of respect for these stories and these people, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you come out of those experiences a real man, a legit dude that has seen shit in his life that has made him empathetic to the world, that has changed his whole perception, that makes him appreciate fucking everything. That's what these people live through. And now we get our generation, and even the generation ahead of us, are these spoiled little brats who have never ever had to experience anything and live through their computer screen. And we kind of get like, that's why no one's growing up. That's my assessment of it, is because we don't live through any tough times.
So what you're saying is we need a fucking war.
We need to start World War III, guys.
Well, don't worry, mate. Trump's on his way. We'll have our war soon enough. Unfortunately for us, we're going to be the wrong age. We're not going to be a great age for a war. We're going to be like 45 or something like that by the time, the next war kind of properly kicks in. By
that's
the 12 years from now. That's enough time.
By the time Donald Trump becomes Emperor of America, a la Palpatine.
Emperor Trumpetine.
That's true. We'll be the guys making like food packets for our boys.
Yeah, we'll be home guard, homie. We'll be home guard. We'll be home guard, you and me.
But I just thought that was interesting to see the histories generationally and to see how far I haven't come. What else you got?
The other day, a dude kept on adding me to a group on Facebook it was this group called like New Zealand Buy, Sell and Exchange or something to that effect. And it was like a place where you can buy, sell and exchange things. And he added me and it's like, man, I don't really know this guy. He was just on my Facebook. And I was like, I don't give a shit about buying, selling and exchanging things in New Zealand. It's not really my area, so I left the group and he added me again. I left the group and he added me again. And then like this kind of kept on going for like a few weeks,
Shenanigans.
Just every now and then I would just get a notification. You've been added to the group, New Zealand Buy, Sell and Exchange. Yeah. And so eventually I messaged him and I was like, hey man, stop adding me to this group. I've had to leave it like 4 times.
Yeah.
What are you up to?
What did he say?
No reply. Added me to the group again.
That's a funny reply. That is a funny response.
So what I did was I created a personal group. His name was Travis Steele.
How do you know this guy?
I've got so many randoms on my Facebook. He was just a random. So this is Travis Steele. So I created a new group called Travis Steele is a Dickhead, and then I added him to it. And then I deleted him.
Well, that's a funny rebuttal to his funny rebuttal.
Yeah.
So I feel like you did ultimately one-up him there. And petty...
I created an entire group just to call him a dickhead. Of course I one-upped him.
In this petty game that it was a total waste of time for yourself.
It took 2 seconds to create a group called Travis Steele as a Dickhead.
Did you have a photo of him?
No, I should have done that. I should have made it the banner. I didn't even think about that. I just did it and added it. But yeah, I should have taken his profile picture and made it. Yeah, foolish. Oh well.
I've noticed that there's been a lot more, prostitutes on Facebook. Have you noticed that?
Well, when you say prostitutes, do you mean all these spam requests?
Yes,
where it's just like hot chicks.
Yeah.
And they've got 3 friends.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not prostitutes. They're like spam bots. I'm pretty sure it's all automated.
Right.
And they just somehow somebody's figured out a way to, or maybe they sit there and manually do it.
But aren't some, because some of them invite you into like groups, like
Yeah, well, if you accept them, they'll send you messages as well. But even that, I suspect, is automated.
Right.
So it's like, "Hey, babe, how are you?" And you go, "Oh, I'm pretty good, thanks. What have you been up to? Sexy profile picture."
This is just assuming what you reply to that.
Yeah.
You know that's what but just in theory, someone might write that reply to them.
And then they go like, "Haha, yeah." Which could be totally automated. It's just a generic response. And then so, if you reply, they reply, you reply, they reply, and then eventually it's like, by the way, you should email me on this email address,
right,
or check out this website, or whatever it is. But they're getting more and more overt, because I honestly, I've got like, no shit, I've probably got like 25 of these spam requests at the moment, and I keep getting them every day. It's a real pain in the ass, because you got to go through and delete them all, because you can't see the people that are genuinely requesting it. And so you've got to go and you've got to look through all of the profiles, look at all their pictures, click on all those porn links just to make sure that they are porn links, and that's a real pain in the ass. And yes, it is. They are proliferating. Facebook needs to do something about it. I always delete the request and mark it as spam, but the thing about that is, what doesn't really seem to be working.
You do report them?
No, because you can't quickly and easily do that. So I just press delete, and then it goes, "Do you want to mark this as spam?" And I go, "Yes."
Right. Okay.
And then that person can't ever contact you again. But the thing is, it doesn't matter, because that one is just one of literally a million profiles of the same thing.
Well, speaking of...
you know what else is interesting about that is the girls in those photos are real women.
Yeah.
Real people somewhere. So I actually got a friend request from a friend of mine, Paige, right?
Yep.
And I got a friend request from a second profile of hers, and it wasn't really her.
Oh, shit.
Someone had taken her pictures, seen her somehow, right-click, download, kept the pictures, and then set up a new fake profile of pretending to be her.
Interesting.
So they are real people that, so when you're perving at those pictures of those spam bots, rest assured, those are real women somewhere.
Whack assured.
Whack assured. Those are real women.
Those are real women that you're masturbating to. So, yeah, speaking of the internet, found another...
Speaking of whacking.
Another YouTube version of the zombie film just the other day. Which... I did report, but again, which is the second time I've done this, it really pisses me off. This really... Do
you want to know what grinds my gears?
Totally pisses me off is that you go, look, this is a feature film, this is infringing on copyright, who are you? I'm the writer-director, but my email is not... and then they send you an email back and they go, sorry, your email is not associated with this, so... it's going to remain up. It's like, why?
Well, what is the email associated with
flying fuck. Well, my email is just an email.
What is the email address associated with that video? What do you mean? Like how?
It says your email is not associated with this copyright team.
See, I've never had that. See, because I report it all the time as well.
Yeah.
I'll report it and it'll disappear. It just takes a few days usually.
Yeah. But I guess what pissed me off is that so little research, it's one thing to go, that's not a valid, if someone, that means that if anyone reports piracy, that is not on their email list, but could totally be part of their company.
YouTube, I guarantee YouTube does not have the email address of the rights holders of I Survived a Zombie Holocaust.
Well, that's what's even more stupid. But, so I got this email, which is probably automatic, it's probably automated, but it's like, guys, all you have to do is actually click on that link to see a feature film up there, which has copyright logos at the end of it, I think it says copyright 2015, which means that regardless of who sent this in, it is not able to be put up online for at least 50 years.
Yeah.
Full stop, period.
Yeah, well,
there's just so much stuff. But also, you could see that Guy Pigden is the writer-director. You could see I'm Guy Pigden. You could see my email addresses say G Pigden this, G Pigden that. It's all very fucking obvious.
Yeah, well, look, man, you got to send it to me. I'll report it as well.
Yep.
And it'll get taken down in a few days.
But it's just frustrated me that, obviously in the time that we've had this fuck around, it's not even that short a process to send in.
Yeah, it is a bit of a pain in the ass.
You've got to write down details. So you also kind of provide all this context for them, and yet it's like they didn't even look at that context. Fucking YouTube, man. Sort out your piracy shit. Jesus. And also, I know there is some kind of automated thing. We have to figure that out. That stops, like it just automatically stops, like that film from being uploaded. I don't know exactly how that works, but it just wound me up.
Just really grinds my gears.
Wound me up.
Now, last week, we complained, you and I, as we want to do.
Sounds about right.
We complained that, it was more me, I guess. I was complaining that the podcast, we'd been doing it so consistently, and yet it hadn't really taken off. Not really. We've still got the filthy 50, as they're known. The filthy 50, as they like to be known.
Well, so occasionally reduced to the dirty dozen.
Or the nerdy Neum. So anyway, but I got a comment this week on the podcast, last week's episode of the podcast, from Samuel Wheeler, who says, "Don't worry, guys. In reference to why your views aren't growing as fast sorry, hang on, let me reread that.
Okay.
Don't worry, guys. In reference to why your views aren't growing as fast or fame is fleeting regarding more subscribers and so on. Anyway, I've been vlogging for 58 days straight and have a whopping 9 more subscribers. Yay, I'm learning quickly. That consistently putting up content is no guarantee of growth or success. There really aren't any guarantees in life, and YouTube is no exception. But at least we can hear you and enjoy your thoughts, poems, and funny stories. Just keep uploading."
I like how he mentioned your poems.
I like that too.
Because I really thought he wouldn't have.
Because I really thought the listeners hated your poems.
Because
Harley.
I really feel like there's a percentage that aren't digging those.
No way. Listeners, this is very important. If you enjoy my poems, please comment below on whichever platform you're listening on. Yeah. Either go to the Guy and Harley Facebook page, facebook.com/Guy and Harley, and post us a comment or send us a message. If you're listening on YouTube, comment below and just let us know. How do you feel about the poems?
Well, look.
How do you feel about Harley's poems?
That's going to be the vocal minority that speaks out on that.
Oh,
though.
Don't give me that shit. There might be a vocal minority saying, if anybody really cared, they would say, yeah, man, I'm actually really upset about these poems, and I think they're wasting my time on the podcast.
They're not really upset.
You're offending my ears on the poem.
They just would internally roll their eyes when a new poem comes on.
My best friend, ladies and gentlemen. My best friend. Every time. Every fucking time. All right? Every fucking time.
No, but look, I'm not saying I share that philosophy. I'm just saying...
I'm just speaking. I'm just speaking on behalf.
It wouldn't surprise me. And that's the same as when I go into a story about the history of communism.
No. Those are two different things. A short rant that you occasionally might go on is very different to a poem which I have put in a lot of time and effort into writing. And then you bring up, again, how everyone's going to hate it.
I didn't say that.
So the listeners need to be vocal on this one. Let us know what you think. And if you don't like the poems, let us know as well. I will be hurt, but I'll get through it.
You're gonna be hurt.
Yeah, but the listeners don't care, and it's good content. I mean, in fact, look here, this is perfect. This is actually perfect to lead into this week's episode of The Troll Hole. So here's evidence that I don't mind receiving a bit of feedback on my poems, okay? So this was somebody... Now, one of my poem, Gravity, got featured on a website, pathos.com. It's sort of an atheist, secular thinking website. Got featured on there. And a certain guy, his name is Andy Hernandy, commented. Now, he commented about my poem. Now, my poem, Gravity, is about religion. So this is what he commented. Slam poetry taking on religion? That's like trying to mop a shit stain off the floor using a bucket of vomit. Ouch.
This is good.
It's good though. It's not bad.
was good.
It's not bad.
Because he took shots at slam poetry and religion.
So Andy, look, I'm not even angry. I'm not even mad. So feel free if you're not feeling the poems, hey, let us know. Now,
The truth be told, though, we're still going to keep doing them.
Of course, I'm actually about to do one right now. I'm actually about to launch into a couple of poetry stories, followed by the debut of a poem.
Okay.
So I where should I begin on this one? So I went out I took myself out on a date the other night, which was I went to this Pink Floyd music laser show.
When you say you took yourself on a date, you mean you went by yourself.
I literally went by myself.
A lot of events because no one would go with you.
It was a Tuesday night. It was pissing down on a Tuesday night, and I was all on my lonesome, and I took myself out on a romantic adventure.
Now, first question.
Yes.
Was your girlfriend at work or just at home?
She was at work.
Okay.
She was at work, but I don't know that she would have wanted to come to this. But so there was this at the Star Dome, right, which is the Auckland Observatory where you can view the stars. And they've got this dome there that you can sit inside, and it's got seats like in a cinema kind of, except for leaning back further, so you're looking at the roof.
Yep.
And you're surrounded by this kind of, you're encapsulated in this image, like you can sit there and no matter where you look sort of upwards, there's, screen kind of thing. And they normally use it to take you around the galaxy.
Imagine the tip of a condom and you're on the inside of it looking up.
Yes, that's it. Because that's exactly it. And they project things on the inside of the condom. Yep. They project images. So it's very cool technology and it looks very good. And they normally use it to show you around the solar system, around the galaxy and so on. But on this particular occasion, they were playing 2 Pink Floyd albums back to, one Pink Floyd album, a break, and then another Pink Floyd album. They give you a couple of glasses of wine and they give you some snacks and stuff. And
the whole album?
Yeah, so 2 albums, 2 whole albums.
So we're talking
2 hours.
2 hours?
Yeah, with a break in between.
With just sitting there.
Yeah, watching...
looking at what?
Oh, well, that's the thing. It's kind of like, there's like lasers and, like there's lasers in the room and lights in the room. And then on the roof, there's kind of all these like psychedelic 3D kind of images things that's kind of taking you on an adventure as the music plays, Now, I've never really listened to Pink Floyd before. It just sounded like something random and interesting to do. And it wasn't bad, but I still didn't really love the music, if I'm really honest.
After the first one, were you like,
no,
I'm kind of done?
No, I was having a pretty good time. I still had a voucher for another glass of wine in my pocket, so I had my first glass of wine before the show, and then during the break got my second glass of wine and an ice cream, and sat by myself amongst all the other couples who were clearly on dates. It's just all these couples and me.
All these couples like making out and like seeing like random people getting hand jobs in their pants beside you, and you're just like,
here I am just giving myself a hand job. You go, what are you, a pervert? I just do it myself. Funnily enough, somebody did comment that they used to work at the Star Dome and that they did see a dude getting a hand job under a jacket when he was the projectionist, and he saw a dude getting a hand job under the jacket. Fair call. Well played, sir. Well played. That's on my to-do list.
But make sure you take one of your jackets you don't love.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Or just use her jacket.
True.
Yeah, play smart ball. Use her jacket.
Sorted.
So anyway, I went to that thing and it was cool. I did have a good time. I did enjoy it. And then afterwards, I ran along. I didn't want this magical night to end, so I
skipped along.
I got into an Uber and I Ubered like quite a long way across the city to get along to poetry night, which was on the same night, and try and perform. And luckily, I got on the list, and I was the very last performer of the night. I performed 2 poems, went really well. I nailed it. It was good. Really good performance. Maybe one of my best performances, even. It went really well. But then, here was where the night went a little awry. Unfortunately, the owner of the bar... Now, we're going to keep the name of the bar anonymous.
Right.
For this particular story. Now, this is a place I go to regularly, and the owner of this bar is a nice guy. I get along with him, but on this particular case, there's this it's not new, I don't think. There's a poetry event called Bloomsday, and apparently it's St. Patrick's Day for poets. So you go along and you get shit-faced, I guess, and there's like live shows. Yeah. And so Lucy Lawless and Michael Hurst are going to be performing at the next Bloomsday. Yeah. Now, Lucy Lawless, obviously, Xena Warrior Princess. Michael Hurst, he's from Hercules. Aeolus, the old TV show, you might remember.
He's also one of probably the most successful television director of US television living in New Zealand.
In New Zealand, right.
So he's just recently directed episodes of Evil Dead. He did Spartacus. He did Legend of the Seeker, and
he also directed Hercules back in the day.
And he also did, he did
Hercules
and Xena, maybe.
Yeah, I think he did Xena too. Yeah,
and he also
Xena Warrior Princess. We have a connection to him,
and he's just done Shannara Chronicles.
Yeah.
We have a connection to him in that he does not reply to Harley's texts.
Yeah, he does not reply to me. Last text I got from him, he did not reply. He called me by mistake one time, but he pocket dialed me.
Yeah,
and I had lost his number at the time.
Yeah,
and then I got this missed call, and I was like, "Hey, who's this?" And he was like, "Oh, it's Michael Hurst. What's up?" And then I was like, "Oh, you pocket called me." How you been anyway? What have you been up to since last time I saw you? Because Michael Hurst directed our pilot sitcom many moons ago. Yeah. This was our very first attempt at cracking it in the big time.
First shot at the big time.
Yeah, it was our first shot at the big time, and it was quite a big deal. We got Michael Hurst directing our sitcom.
We didn't really understand that though at the time.
We didn't know who he was.
Like, if you said to me tomorrow, "Hey, Michael Hurst is going to direct this thing," I'd be like, "Oh my fucking god, this is amazing! This is the best thing that's ever happened." At the time, I was like, "Michael who?"
Yeah, well, honestly,
and I was like, "Xena? What a load of shit!"
Well, I remember as well. We got picked up at the airport. So what happened was we got flown from Wellington to Auckland to shoot our sitcom
on a red eye.
On the red eye flight with Michael Hurst directing, and we were in the car. We got picked up by some production assistant, and they were and she was like, "Oh, you guys must be pretty excited." And we were like, "Yeah, we're excited." And she's like, "Well, you must be very excited that Michael Hurst is directing." And we were honestly, no shit. I was like, "Who's Michael Hurst?"
Yeah, we didn't know.
I was like, "Who's Michael Hurst?" And she was like, "Really?" Honestly, did not know. I also met up at on the same trip. I met up with my ex-girlfriend, the love of my life in high school. My what's that word for your high school sweetheart? Yeah, my high school sweetheart. I met up with her, and she's in the business too. And I was like, yeah, this guy Michael Hurst directing it. And she was like, "Really? Wow, shit! Oh, congratulations!" And I was like, "Yeah, we don't know anything about that.
We don't know anything about this guy."
But anyway, so he is going to be performing because he's an actor as well, alongside Lucy Lawless of the Lucy Lawless, Warrior Princess, at this Bloomsday at this pub. And so anyway, I had a chat to the owner, and he was like, "Yeah, good read, yada yada." And then I was like, "Oh, by the way, what's this Bloomsday thing you were promoting on the stage before?" And he was like, "Oh, you haven't heard of it? Oh, well, come over here." And he was a bit drunk. He was a little bit drunk. And I was like, "Oh, okay, sweet, man." And he said, "This is it." And he pointed to some guy on the wall, and he goes, "This is someone or other fucking Twiddlebottom. He wrote some poem, or he wrote something. He wrote some literary guy who wrote something, and this is what the Lucy Lawless is going to be performing on the night."
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool, man, and then he was like, "Yeah, it's huge. I can't believe you haven't heard of it." And I was like, "Yeah, well, you're sorry, man, but yeah, anyway, I'll be there. It sounds fun, Yeah. And he was like, "No, it's a literary blah, 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 blah." And I was like, "No, yeah, cool, man, I'll be there." And then he had real stinky breath. Yeah. He had real stinky breath, and he was kind of yelling, and he was talking very, very close to me, like a few inches away, so I could feel his hot breath on my face. And he was drunk, and he was, he's kind of a middle-aged guy, I guess, and he was, and then he kept coughing in my face, and I just filled up my water bottle. He was coughing on my water bottle. He was coughing on my face, and I was kind of like, well, I want to be polite to the guy because he owns the fucking bar that I come to all the time. But his breath stinks, and I was actively trying to move my head to try and get away from his stinky breath, and I couldn't. And then I was like, "Okay, man, yeah, cool. Anyway, I'm gonna get going, mate. I'm gonna get going." And then he physically stood in front of me and the door, and he started getting more and more manic, talking about this Bloomsday, talking about this thing that I hadn't heard of. And he was like, "No, I can't believe you haven't heard of it." And physically blocking the door. And I was like, okay. And so I excused myself again, and he kept on doing. And again, he kept on going on it. And then I was like, "Okay, man, cool." And then I actually physically walked away from him. I walked away, and he followed me. and then kept on going, and kept on getting really close, and then he started getting really angry about it, and he was like, I was like, okay, cool, man, just chill out, it's all right. And he's like, chill out. I don't need to chill out. Chill out. I don't give a fuck what you think, And I was like, man, what? And then he was, and he kind of realized, he was like, I mean, it's all fun and games, And I was like, yeah, all right, man. And then I was like, all right, see ya. And I left him again, right? And I was leaving, right? And he came up again, and I had to be like, look, man, all right, I get it. I'll check it out. That's enough.
Yeah.
Settle down. And I turned my back on him, And it's like, this is the owner of the bar that I regularly go to and I don't really want to make enemies with.
Yeah.
And then he was like, I'll never settle down. And then I think his staff members realized he was just drunk and harassing.
It was just out of
customers.
control. Yeah,
because they came over and were like, hey, do you mind coming over here and checking this out? And like pretended he had something,
right.
And I see you jotting down "Never Settle Down."
That's going to be
in the sitcom.
Well, no, that's going to be the name of this episode of the podcast.
Okay, good. So anyway, yeah.
Well, look, they are words to live by.
They are "Never Settle Down."
But in this instance, completely inappropriate.
Yeah. So that kind of left a bit of a bad taste in my mouth anyway, because
you sound like the classic pacifist hippie in that scenario. You're like, look, dude, I get it, okay? You're just kind of killing my buzz now.
Well, he was killing my buzz. You're saying I should have just smashed the cunt. Should I just fucking smash the cunt? Bottled him, just in the pub.
What I'm saying is you've become a hippie, and this is how you deal with scenarios of this sort.
Well, yes, I remain calm. And I keep them under control. Now the thing was, I had an amazing night. I had a really good night all by myself. So fucking people power. If you're out there and you're
you have no friends, if you're a social outcast, if people don't like hanging out with you,
remember, you can have fun anyway.
And if you have a problem where you can't make friends because you're really annoying, Harley's got some good news for you.
Well, the thing is, I still annoyed a guy.
That's true. You did. You unintentionally annoyed a guy.
Yeah. No, well, but in all seriousness, if you are thinking about going out by yourself, you should. Every now and then, because it was fun. I did have a really good time. I've actually had a lot of really good nights where I just go out by myself and go to some event and just like chill out, hang out by myself. It's kind of nice. Not having to talk to people.
No, having to people. Fucking
But so anyway, yeah, that happened. Now, the reason why I was in a rush to perform that night was because, all official, I have been accepted into an event, which we can't name yet. It's in Hamilton.
Yep.
I have all officially been accepted. This is my first gig as a poet.
People can probably put the pieces of the puzzle together here.
They probably can if they listen to previous episodes.
Yes.
So there are there's a series of famous talks on YouTube.
I think they're going to be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together now.
And there's like a local version of those famous talks.
And there's a movie with the same name.
There's a movie about a teddy bear with the same name. And so anyway, there are
Mark Wahlberg co-stars.
There are these famous talks on YouTube, and they're having some of these talks in New Zealand. And soon, I guess, they'll announce my involvement, and then I can go public with it. But for now anyway, I have been officially accepted in. I am performing poetry live at this event in Hamilton. They're putting me up in a hotel. It's a big deal. This is my first gig. This is a huge step in the right direction.
Yeah.
So that's why I was in a big rush to perform that night, was because I needed to practice my poem.
Like all good stand-up comedians, you needed practice at your craft.
Well, exactly.
You got to stay warmed up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. Now I'm going to perform a short poem for you right now.
Okay.
If you're ready. Now, this poem was written as part of... Now, you might recall I've been stalking the poet Tourette's for quite a while. Now, Dominic Hoey is his name. He does the How Not to Be an Asshole podcast, so go check that out. How Not to Be an Asshole. Now, I've been stalking him for for a year now, probably a year.
And he wants no part of
He wants no part of it. I go to all of his gigs. I attended his
writing
class. There was only 10 people in the class, and I was one of them. Front and center. Right up the front.
Is really... worried about you to some degree.
He's a little bit concerned because I do show up, and I always show up by myself because I don't have any friends. So I just go to these gigs by myself and just stand around and talk to him.
Just for like fleetingly for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and then I just stand around
before he excuses himself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I get irate and start coughing and yelling in his face.
No, man.
Yeah,
you don't understand.
So anyway, I went to his course and I wrote this poem as part of his course, kind of just just because I needed to. But this has
just because, just as a little love letter to him. This is your love letter.
This is my love letter to him. No. So this was fitting the theme of this talk that I'm about to do. So I had to write a poem. But anyway, this poem has been accepted as one of the poems I'm going to perform at this event.
Yeah.
So it goes like this. The theme of the event is change or morphosis. It goes like this. I'm changing all the time. Changing universe from womb to world. Changing nappies. Changing schools again, changing schools 15 times, changing friends, changing houses, changing lovers, changing form, morphing from boy to man, from Christian to chrysalis to free-thinking humanist, from class clown to pussy hound to armchair philosopher. It's insane to see the change in me. The strength I've gained amazes me. Some people change their minds, but I changed my mind. The synapses snapped and reformed, and I was never the same again. It was like waking up when I didn't know I was asleep. It was like a driver's daydream disturbed by a tree. I saw the world with clarity and was attracted to its fatality. I realized we're all gonna die. So I was liberated when I looked to the sky. There was no deity looking down on me, just space and time stretching off into infinity. Talk about empowerment. Suddenly existence existed solely for me to exist in. When I'm gone, poof, you're gone too. As far as I know, you don't exist when I leave this room. Am I a person or a brain in a vat? It doesn't matter. When my matter decays, it might as well be the latter. Am I a nihilist? Yeah. Do I care? No. This isn't even a poem, guys. It's just a rant that rhymes. But come back next week because I'm changing all the time.
Interesting. Rehashing old themes now.
How's that a rehash?
Rehashing.
What did I rehash in that one?
There was like, you know, the die and it's all good, the religion thing. It seemed like a bit of a rehash of a couple of the other ones. It was kind of like an amalgamation of like three into one.
No, hang on, religion-wise,
getting a little bit tired.
Religion-wise, it is the only one that I even mention religion in the three poems that I'm performing at this event. So there's only that there. But you know, also, yeah, I admit I do touch on religion a lot. It really pisses me off. I'm sorry, guys, but it fucks me off when people believe in imaginary stuff that physically affects the real world. It bothers me. I'm sorry.
I like the end. The end was good.
Guy always says that. You know what I liked? The end.
No, but that was clever. You know, come see me again. I'm changing. That's cool. But overall, my review.
Guy Pigdens, my best friend, ladies and gentlemen.
Overall, my review, little too samey. Just engages on other things that you've said maybe more eloquently in other poems.
But this particular poem is one of the only ones that I really speak about myself.
Right.
I don't normally speak about myself in any of my poems. So, yeah. But to be honest, I'm not huge on that poem. It was kind of written because I had 4 classes or whatever to write something. And this was what I was trying to write for those 4 classes. And then what happened was... I don't know, the guy liked it, so it ended up getting used.
Yeah. It's no Saturn's Return.
It's no Saturn's Return.
It's no Plato's Cave.
Guy's favourite, Plato's Cubicle. I've changed the name of that one, I think.
It's no, what's that fucking one that you did the other week?
The anti-social media.
Yeah, but wasn't it called something else?
No, I called it anti-social media, and I said it was inspired by you saying anti-social media.
Well, what was the one before that? There was another one with a weird name. Apotheosis.
Apotheosis.
No, it wasn't an apotheosis.
Nice. Oh, that's good. Wow, this is a hardcore fan, guys.
Yeah. Well, I've had to listen to them many times, so they stick with me. Some of them stick with me, for sure. I do often think about Saturn's Return still. I don't know if that's because I had to fucking edit it in the guy in Harley show, or whether it's just. But I think there's some truth about that. Well, it's quite deep.
The thing about Saturn's Return is a poem that these people probably haven't listened to, but maybe I'll perform that one next week. I have performed it many episodes ago.
Yeah.
But we'll perform it next week.
Well,
it's only short. We'll perform that. It's part of the weekly segment, poetry.
Okay.
Harley's poetry segment.
All right. Shit, this is becoming weekly now.
Well, as long as I've got shit to say, yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, we should shoot a video for Saturn's Return. But let's talk about now. This is a filmmaker podcast about our lives. Let's talk about our next big project, which is potentially on the horizon, which is our new sitcom.
Yeah.
This is breaking news, listeners. If you're, we haven't said anything publicly about it, so this is it.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about potentially doing a feature film next, and I've sort of been giving it a lot of thought, and I don't know, like, I kind of inclined that maybe it won't be a feature, maybe it will be this TV show that we do next, and there's a few reasons for that, but for me, I'm always about, like, what's the, like, I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, and it's in one of my raps, but I'm like Ryu, and at the end of Street Fighter 2, it goes, Ryu has, become the Street Fighter champion, but now he heads off into the sunset, always searching for the new challenge. He wasn't satisfied with that. He wasn't satisfied with winning the Street Fighter tournament. And so now he's got to find something else to test his skills against. And for me, one of the big appeals of filmmaking or storytelling or whatever is the challenge. Like, what is the new challenge? So for me, for older, it was like, do something completely the opposite, do something personal, do something completely the opposite of the zombie film, do something that people wouldn't necessarily expect you to do, try and be open and honest and sort of revealing and challenge yourself to act, challenge yourself to direct in a different style and write in a different style and shoot in a different style. And so for me, that was one of the things that I loved shooting older, and it was so thrilling because of that challenge. And it doesn't matter, like, I mean, obviously you don't want to fail, but it's not really about the failing or succeeding. It's the challenge and taking that challenge. And so for me, I find it very appealing, the idea of trying to shoot a television show that we shoot entirely ourselves, that we shoot completely contained. We do it as a sort of a one-off season, a one-off event. We shoot it almost like we're shooting a feature film in terms of the shoot structure and stuff like that. And we just try and tell a really interesting long-form story. I mean, that's the thing about movies is you only have 2 hours or an hour and a half to sort of get to know these characters and push a plot along and deal with whatever genre you're in, which, and there's lots of advantages to that, but there's lots of limitations. And, when you look at all the great television that's on, I think some of the stuff that's great is the richness of the characters and being able to sit with these people for a period of time, watch them change and grow, watch the evolution without being like, oh, time's up because the movie's ended, So that is quite appealing to me. And Harley said, like, we really should follow up the Guy and Harley show, whether that's do more Guy and Harley show.
The Guy and Harley show was our sitcom, which you can watch on YouTube. Go to YouTube and search Pigville sitcom, and you should find it. There's 2 episodes there. I've renamed them. One of them's called The Most Awkward Sex Scene Ever. That's in order to get more views, and it worked. And the other one's called Sexy Shower Scene Goes Wrong. Yeah. But it's all on a playlist called the Guy and Harley Show playlist. So go to YouTube, search Pigville. You'll find it. You'll have to check it out. Now, that was the sitcom we shot more than 2 years ago. That was kind of our first attempt at a sitcom, which was kind of a test, really, it turns out.
It was. And it was a bit of a beta test, not only for like, hey, can we do something like this ourselves, in a better way than we did sort of 6 or 7 years prior with the show that Michael Hurst made with us. So could we do a sort of a better updated version of that? But also it served as a bit of a beta test for older, as like, can we kind of do something nice looking with the resources that we have, and could this now work as a feature film, which we did, and I think it did, but now to go back to that sort of long form television idea, and that was, I guess, that my interest was piqued in asking those questions. And also, you said, like, I'd really like to do that. Like, I'm really motivated to do that. as a new project, as a big project that we take on. And so, yeah, I think that's what we might do. And I think that the title of it might, or at least the temporary title.
This is news to me, people. I haven't heard this, whatever he's about to say.
Is called The Second Act, which is because it's about, I guess, the second phase of your life after sort of becoming, once you've sort of, you're past the sort of the 20s stage, you're past the sort of single lifestyle, and you're into, the next phase, the serious relationships, the career, the kids, the sort of like, oh, fuck, what? We've got to do something now? And that's probably the type of things that we're going to be exploring, hence the second act.
So this is inspired a little bit by, or the type of show such as Togetherness,
Catastrophe, kind of a lot of the sort of HBO shows or Netflix shows that are sort of on at the moment. Because that's another thing is I think that, we've been having this discussion, Harley and I, is like, we're 33. And, like, what is the next evolution for us in terms of like, yes, we can make...
We'll do Not Wanking 3.
Yeah, we can do Not Wanking 3, and probably we will. Being realistic, we probably will. But
our latest skit, Not Wanking, also on YouTube. Go check it out to see what we're going to stop doing. Go to YouTube right now and search Pigville Not Wanking, and watch that. That came out just recently, and it's kind of a good example of what our humour has been our entire careers, and it's what we're moving away from, I think.
Well, maybe yes, or maybe just becoming slightly more sophisticated. I think. The issue is like, we've spent a long time making things, making unsuccessful things about young guys doing stuff. Yeah. So now it's time to take the leap.
Make unsuccessful things about old guys doing stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we've just started jotting down some ideas for that. It's something that we'd hope to shoot towards the end of this year. Or certainly, that's certainly on the menu, on the game plan.
The problem is it's got to be written. Yeah, that's the big obstacle at the moment. Is that it needs to be written. Yep. And Guy needs to find time to do that. So, look, guys, if you want to be involved with our creative process, you can actually help us by going to patreon.com and searching for Pigville. I'll share this link on the Guy and Harley podcast Facebook page. Go to Patreon and agree to give us $1 per video we put out or something like that. You can limit it to 3 videos a month or whatever, or 2 videos, whatever you want, 1 video a month. And so it's, we don't put out videos every single month anyway. So go to patreon.com and sign up there, and you can give us a small donation every time we put out a video. And that will really help us, because all that money goes towards paying for Pigville stuff, so such as paying for the hosting of this very web podcast, for example. So go to patreon.com. Otherwise, you can, if you want to make a one-off donation to us, you can go to PayPal, and you just need my email address, which is harleyneville@hotmail.com, harleyneville@hotmail.com, and you can put in a deposit of whatever you want, and no matter what it is, it's guaranteed to go towards creating our next project and our maintaining our social media empire. So please give that a go.
And it's also quite likely that this is probably the next project we might do a Kickstarter or Indiegogo for, I think, to sort of cover the cost of, or cover some of the cost of shooting it. Yeah. So that could very likely be the next sort of thing. Also, I just briefly mentioned that the short film that I've been working on, No Caller ID, is almost finished, and I'm in fact going to be submitting it to some festivals. There's some festival deadlines tomorrow, so I kind of need to get that submission process underway. More money though; they cost $40 US per submission. You try submitting to 10 or 20 festivals. Yeah. Well, buddy.
So there you go. So if you guys are listening and you would like to pay for us to go to one festival, you could donate, hypothetically speaking, $40. Go paypal.com harleyneville@hotmail.com is the email address you need, and you can donate to my PayPal, or you can go to Patreon and deposit and make a thing there. And so $40, yes, that's practically nothing. This is nothing, and you could have us in a festival, and we'll give you some sort of shout out somewhere. We'll negotiate something.
Now we've got to go because I've got work.
We do have to go. I've got a bit of feedback from a regular listener.
Okay.
Do you want to do that, or do you want to do your thing? Because we can do the feedback from the regular listener next week.
Well, first, we'll return to one of my favorite segments. My.
I love this segment.
Shitty life. Now, our friend Will Fleming, who has a podcast which is much more successful than ours, called My Kiwi Life, he interviews people, and at the start of every episode, he used to have this segment where a friend of his, Andre King, would say a little life philosophy, and life philosophy would be like, hey, an apple a day keeps a doctor away. So, have apples, guys. Have apples.
Thanks, Andre.
And everyone was like, okay, Andre, we get it. That particular science has been disproven. There's a lot of sugar in apples. But never mind. So, he was doing that, but they ran out of philosophies because there's only so many there's only so many upbeat philosophies that you can, sort of talk about. And he's done, many, many episodes, at least 20. More than that. But also, if you want to check out, he vlogs every day, and
he's recently just done 50 vlogs in a row,
which is a huge achievement. And I really, we can't do one vlog in a year. So to have the commitment, the dedication, the discipline, and they're not it's not just him talking to camera. It's like him doing a bunch of interesting shit all cut together. And I'm just mentally doing the maths in my head, and I'm like, okay, so it takes him about an hour at least to shoot whatever the thing is. Possibly more in the time it takes to do whatever the activity is. Okay, that's an hour right there. He also works full time. Okay, then he's got at least another hour of editing. I don't care if you've got everything lined up. By the time he's picked everything, he's put all the music together, he's done the export, he's done everything. That's another hour. And I'm talking bare minimums here. He might be going 3-4 hours on some of these, right? That's every mother flippin' day.
Plus, he's got a family.
He's got a fucking family. He's got 2 kids that don't even know his name anymore because of this vlog, right? They're like, Daddy, we want to spend more time. Can we do so? He's like, no, Daddy's doing the vlog. Well, the vlog is very important. The vlog is more important than you 2 little shitheads combined. You know that. I know that. So get off my fucking balls. That's what he says to them. But, that's the point is, he's done this vlog.
But the point is,
he's done this vlog, and it's a huge fucking achievement. So everyone should check out the vlog. It's every day. It's short. It's light. It's breezy. 3 minutes, 4 minutes. He does something interesting. I've already nicked some ideas off in terms of he set up this little time lapse with a little stopwatch. And I was like, fuck, that's great. We can use that. Thank you, Will. Anyway, so...
Will Fleming, My Kiwi Life.
My Kiwi Life, and check out his vlog, which is on Facebook. If you just type in that, I'm pretty sure you find it. If you like his page, you'll definitely find it. So anyway, we start out our own life philosophy. But the thing is, we're jaded individuals, right? We have seen the ugly side of life. And so our philosophies, maybe not quite as good.
Not quite as positive.
Not quite as positive, at least. So here is the life philosophy for this week. They're not actually weekly, but I just thought of this one. Opinions are like sex toys. Everyone's got one. But while some like to keep them to themselves, others try to fuck you repeatedly with theirs. And sometimes it hurts. My shitty life, I really hate my life today. My shitty life, I owe the bank about 50K. This is my shitty life.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I like how you update the song. So last week it was
I
can't tell my wife that I'm not gay. This
gay.
Week it was
the bag 50K.
I like that.
I don't really know how long I can keep that up either.
Yeah.
Probably
like
not much more.
I like it.
So what's the feedback we've got from to wrap things up here?
Speaking of sex toys though, right? If you like, I had a situation where I had a girlfriend and we bought together a large pink vibrating cock. Right? And we had many good times with it. it was put in all sorts of places. And then, but the thing was that it was principally, it was for her. Overall, it was
sure
for her.
It wasn't really going into your places.
Every now and then I'd deep throat it. Just for a laugh.
A little tickle your butt a little bit.
But mostly it was for her. And the thing was that at the end of the relationship, I ended up keeping it. So I had this situation where I had this expensive, large, pink, vibrating sex toy, but I didn't really have much to do with it. And the problem was, I was like, well, do you keep that? Like, imagine if I had brought a girl home with me and then just been like, oh, by the way, and zzz, and I whip out a vibrator, a giant pink vibrator. Now, is that unethical to use the vibrator you used to use on your ex-girlfriend on a new girl? And would the new girl freak the fuck out if you whipped that out? Or would they be like, oh, you dirty man. Oh, yeah, put it in me.
I think the answer is yes. And yes, I think certainly there'd be a subsection of people that are like, you're not using that thing on me. I don't know where it's been. Well, I do know where it's been. And that's exactly why you're not using it on me.
I know exactly where it's been.
And that's 100% why you're not using it on me. I don't care if that thing's been sitting and disinfected for a year. So there is that side of the thing. It would be, I feel, a little bit scary. I mean, look, other side of the coin. If I'm just, meet someone and we're having a good time, and then out come this menagerie of toys, I'm kind of intimidated. I'm like, whoa, what is all this stuff? And it's like, this is the stuff I use. Like, you're going to have to get good at using this. You're going to have to use all these things. Because your penis is inadequate.
Your penis can't do it by itself.
Your penis can't really get the... Look, let's be real. Your penis cannot get the job done. You're going to have to use all of this stuff. And suddenly I'm like, whoa, okay.
Here are the instruction manuals. Read up.
Now, take a seat, read up, get back to me, all right?
I'll tell you something too. That big pink vibrating one, that was bigger than my real dick.
Well, look, that's a...
arguably a mistake.
Oh, I was going to say that.
Arguably a mistake.
Huge mistake.
When we went into the shop to buy that one, arguably a mistake to buy one bigger than my real life one.
Because then you're going down. You're downgrading.
Yeah, because it's meant to be, if you get a little one and then you put the real one in and it's bigger.
And you go, hello.
It's like, hello, step up.
Yeah.
Now it's like you take out the fake one, you put in the real one, and it's like, meh. Is it in yet? Arguably it was a mistake.
Yeah. Well, I hope you learnt your lesson.
I guess I was just thinking about myself.
Well, I hope you learnt your lesson on your next giant dildo purchase.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And you were a little more conservative.
Yeah. But it is interesting to consider that if your girlfriend, if you meet a new girl, right, and you start having sex with her and she's got a vibrator or sex toys already, you have to consider that these sex toys were bought with a previous partner.
Yeah.
And you're going to throw them away? You're going to throw away a perfectly functioning, large, veiny, vibrating schlong?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to work with it?
Yeah, well, that's because there's some memories attached to those.
So your stance is that it has to be thrown away?
Well, yeah, I mean, no, look.
Do you enforce this stance, Guy?
Well, look. Here we go.
It's worth noting that Guy's girlfriend is sitting behind him 2 meters away right now.
There's two things about that. If it was just theirs, and they were like, I use this on myself, I don't really share it with other people, but I'll share it with you. Sweet ass. But if they're like, yeah, my boyfriend fucked the shit out of me with this hundreds of times. Here you go. Here's Excalibur. Take the handle.
I'm going to pass the baton.
I'm like, let's just get a new. Let's just replace that. Thank you. I mean, if it's all the same, we can get the same make, the same model, everything, whatever you like. But let's just change it up a little bit, just for my peace of mind.
Where does the old one go? Just goes in the bin.
Got to go in the bin.
Just goes in the bin.
Or
you should donate
eBay.
that. You should donate that to homeless women.
Or you should put it in, where the clothing bins are. You put the clothes in, you just put the dildo in discreetly.
Yeah.
And so one day someone is just like opening their new overcoat, and that giant dildo is just tucked in the inner pocket, and they're like, "Whoa,
Giggity jackpot."
But what was the feedback?
Well, look, I think that we'll say we have some very important feedback from Jeremy Howson, long-time listener, excellent man, sent us some art, some amazing art, which I will actually post that, but I'll post it next week after the next episode on the Guy and Harley podcast page. Now, I think we're out of time, so we will wrap it up, but next week we will talk about Jeremy Howson's feedback, because it takes too long. There's too many factors
facets
to address in his question. So next week, Jeremy, we will get to your question.
Also, I think that the listeners are all dying to know, and we didn't follow this up last week, is your harebrained scheme to become a sperm donor.
Well, I was going to bring that up this week.
We haven't delved into that again. I'm dying for an update. I've got some new reasons why you shouldn't do it.
Yeah.
I've got some new thoughts on that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you may have made some new contributions.
Yeah. Well, so we won't get into it.
So this is a cliffhanger episode.
So as everybody knows, I did apply to be a sperm donor.
Yeah. And we're gonna get an update on that next week, along with Jeremy Howson's feedback. You cannot miss the next episode. You cannot miss this episode. We'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the Guy and Harley podcast, proudly brought to you by Pigville Productions.
Laugh it up, fuzzball.